Are we being, is John here?
Yes.
Okay,
John is
so
outside,
anyone
yes.
can open up it, whoever,
You are the acting chair.
I'm acting, I'm always acting. I'd like to open up the conservation meeting for September 22nd, 2021. It is 6:32. And I guess we'll do pledge allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time we'll do road call.
Linda?
Don?
Herb Teller.
And Dennis. Everybody's here. Everybody get the previous minutes to the meeting
Yes.
of July 14th and August 18th?
Mm-hmm.
We had time to go through them.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I did also.
Linda, you good?
Yep.
Can we have a motion?
Oh, I do have one comment about the last August meeting minutes, the 18th, August 18th. The last paragraph on the bottom of the first page, just above the bullet, the list of bullets. The last sentence says, "Of the 6 trees originally proposed to be removed." Just for clarification, it was actually, the original proposal was for 7 trees.
Okay,
Yeah,
you would like that changed to, from 6 to 7?
yeah, just to make sure we're all on the same page. So I was a little confused by the remainder of that sentence. The additional one being the 7th is located in the walkabout.
Okay,
So I'm not sure what that, anybody else remember what that was about?
I don't remember.
okay, in his original proposal, there were 6 trees, and then we were walking around and he said, this is another one that needs to come down.
Yeah,
So that made 7.
I read the original proposal and it did say 7. And I went back in my notes today, or my emails, I had commented or questioned Hunter on that because the proposal said remove 7 but replace with 6. So my question was, why would you replace with 6 when you were proposing to remove 7?
I believe number 7, there was some question. It was a borderline
I was
tree.
gonna say it was a borderline
Yeah,
tree, I
weren't
think,
sure.
on Park Street.
Yeah, I just remember the proposal did say 7,
Yeah.
so I'm just, so,
so on the walkabout, is the 7th one that, was that the original 7th that they talked about that was borderline with Hunter? Is that, are we all coming up with the same 7?
or was it a different 7?
Right.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a different 7th, it was on Main Street.
Oh,
Is that the pin oak that's
Yeah.
got the park bench
No.
paving?
No.
Pavers on
No,
it?
that
It's
one
near
wasn't
the,
slated.
it was 1, 2 in from the, or at the ice rink.
Yeah. The one where they cut the top off
Oh,
from the crab apple off of Main Street, so.
so the original 7th, or one of the original 7 has been dropped, is no longer being considered for removal?
well, I thought we talked about spacing. I thought.
Well, that's why,
we said-
that's why Hunter said we only wanted to replace with 6.
I think so.
Was that
Yeah, I
leave
think
space?
so.
So I'm,
That side was crowded,
Yeah.
by the library is crowded for replacement, but
yeah.
So this would be changed to 6 originally, with an addition on the walkabout to make it 8. Whether, and possibly only replacing 6, and then the 8th is in question.
Yeah.
Is
7
that
original,
Seven.
7 original removals,
6 replacing.
6
Without
replacements.
an additional for 8, that's in question if we're gonna remove and or replace. or one or
That's
the
what I'm
other.
hearing,
that
yeah.
was a question I think needed to come back to Hunter, if I remember right that night.
Okay. So we might have 8 coming down with a possible,
I think that was something that he wanted to bring back.
uh-huh,
You know, that wasn't in the original proposal, that was something that,
okay.
it was an additional suggestion.
So,
7 originally, 6 on the green, 1 on Main Street.
Oh, okay.
And,
On the green?
7 original on the green
Yeah,
with a replacement
of 6.
6,
right,
and then another one added for removal
on Main.
on Main. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, we came up with an additional one on the walkabout, which would only be on the green, not on Main.
Yeah, that was the one down by the library.
Yeah. So what is the?
So it's 7 original, which you're
Yes,
right.
yes, that's
With
correct.
replacing only
Of
6.
Right.
With us finding an additional one on the green that is in question of what to do with it at all. Remove and replace, just remove, or neither.
Okay, so, of the 7 trees are originally proposed to be removed on the common, an additional one, 7, an 8.
8.
No,
An
wait a
eight.
minute, of the 7 trees proposed to be removed on the common,
No,
6 would be removed.
That's what I
No,
said.
replaced. 6 replaced.
That's what they're.
there were only
This was on
6 on the
July
common originally,
14th.
1 on Main Street, a total of
Just to
7.
muddy the waters.
What are you talking about Main Street?
Wasn't there the one on Main Street?
Side,
No,
Ma- Oh, the Main Street side,
yes.
not on the Main Street.
I think what,
You have
Oh, the
Park
Main Street.
You have,
Then I'm wrong.
Let's say
Then I'm
Common
wrong.
and Main Street
That's
section.
right,
Right.
then I'm wrong, then they're all on the common.
Yeah. Do you have Gwen's? I couldn't find Gwen's original
I was just-
proposal
It's-
We
just a
didn't
minute.
play in.
because it did say
We're
7
gonna
on
muddy
it.
the water a little
Yeah.
bit here.
correct.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
On the July,
14th minutes. Go ahead, Herbie.
on the second page, if you read it from either the top or at the bottom, it's in 2 different places. Mr. Dennis listed the items that would tentatively be done, and it's calling for removing 6 trees in both places.
Yeah.
And that was a month before this other meeting. So we
So-
had the 6 trees originally, apparently.
Oh.
It was the 7th,
It's the
that
7th.
was the question.
Yes.
It's not, we're not,
There's no 8.
there's no
No,
way.
Oh. Well, Gwen's proposal said 7,
Ah,
so that's what I'm thinking back to.
I think there was confusion in Gwen's proposal, and Linda fixed it.
I fixed it.
I could go back and look, like, we're talking like months ago, not recently.
Well, that's what I was trying to fathom in my head that when I had originally gone over there with Gwen. It
Right.
was 6 that we went
Okay.
through and counted.
You know what?
And then,
I'll get together all the correspondence, including Linda and Ken's summary,
Original. Okay.
then any correspondence from Gwen, and then any correspondence either Herb has given to us via Hunter or Hunter's given to us directly. Although I don't think I've got anything directly, just via you.
So,
And-
in
So
other
then-
words, Christina, to interrupt you,
Go ahead.
you can accept the minutes as they are written with you looking into the number of trees.
Yes, and the exact location.
Okay.
exception.
And I think a diagram, I'll make a diagram of the common. And then we can label,
Yeah, we should.
like, yeah, so then we'll all have it in front of us.
That'd be
The
clear-
tree,
clear
yeah,
that
so
way.
we're,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
And I can go through the video and maybe even make some notes next to each tree,
That would be great.
in a diagram. Right? That would help me. I'm a
Right,
visual
you-
person. Okay.
Want to amend your question,
My concern,
your concern?
we want to amend it?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Do we need to,
Well, let's accept it, accept the minutes
As written.
as written,
I'll look
with
into.
the adjoining statement that
Yeah.
we were going to
further and
Pending
pending
further,
further
let's see,
review of
documentation of the trees and the trees to be removed.
place
number of trees and
replace?
replace.
That sounds fine, sure.
Yeah, I will get the trail.
Okay,
Because I feel like it had bounced a little between how many. And I thought there was one on the Main Street. But we're just fertilizing and trimming Main Street.
Yes.
No tree removal,
No.
okay. So that's my
Main Street
mistake.
is left to be.
No
trimmed.
Main Street is getting any tree removed.
Yeah.
And that statement is gonna be on both meeting minutes,
The-
for both the August 18th and the July 4th, because they both basically say the same thing.
Yeah.
They both call for
When was-
6.
When did we go? No, because we didn't go around, no, this is the July
The July,
14th.
yeah,
You're only talking about what happened in the past. That is referencing in the past for the new board members, okay?
but the wording is the same as it is on the August 18th. So if we change the August 18th minutes, won't that,
Then, right, so it's being revised. It's okay.
oh, they changed the numbers, okay.
It's okay, it's being updated.
For both the months. If we have it wrong, you would update both months with new numbers.
No,
No,
because if you get one number, okay, and then it changes the next,
the original
next,
proposal was
Original
different than the
proposal.
actual.
you're not gonna change the,
That's right.
you'd be going back, what's the word that you like to use, in perpetuity?
Redefining the past.
Perpetuity.
I mean, you'd still have Todd Pretzel as a selectman.
Right, exactly. So we can't go back and rewrite the past. If originally we pretend we only had 2 trees we're talking about, you'd want to leave that number.
Correct.
Obviously.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna get this, oh, and a diagram
Correct.
of the comment. And,
So technically, we should take 2 votes on each of the minutes and
Correct.
do them separately.
Correct.
So. If
So first the July 14th.
So
Chair is,
I make a motion to accept them as written, the July 14th minutes.
Second.
Seconded by Herb. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. And now I get a motion on the August 18th minutes.
Move to accept with the statement that we will review the numbers of trees to be removed, replaced, to verify the numbers.
Seconded.
Seconded by Don. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Very good. New business. Chairman, vice chair nominations and voting. Well, seeing I'm a good actor, I would be glad to try to sit in the seat of chairman of the Conservation Board if that's...
I nominate Ken.
I second that.
No discussion.
I'll third that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstention.
Sucker.
And vice chair.
can you nominate someone that isn't here and vote? I don't know. I mentioned to Jesse the voting tonight. He said, don't vote, you know.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. Can you nominate someone that isn't?
Now, I need somebody to do the paperwork, so.
And nominate Linda.
Why?
Are you willing, first, I guess?
Yes.
When you spoke to
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes, I'll do it.
when you spoke to Jesse, was he in favor?
He said we do not have to hold up the vote. I just thought that maybe he'd be interested to be here for the vote. I just threw it out there. They would have to vote, but no, I don't. He said, do not hold it up for me.
Oh, we got
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
We need a second.
Second.
second from Don. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Done. Done and over with.
Done.
Keep it all in the family.
Is there
Yeah.
any conflict of interest?
I was gonna say,
Not in this family.
That would be my
Don't
only
worry.
concern.
I
If
don't
you're
think-
gone, he might be gone, and vice versa.
Maybe,
We may
yeah.
not have either of you here.
Yeah.
so, now what do we have?
We don't collude, in other words. I have a totally different perspective.
Good for you.
And how
So
many
checks and
days?
balances.
See, that's right.
Yeah.
So we are reviewing the Department of Environmental Services DES violations. And this is a matter of down at the ball field?
Excuse me,
Okay.
next item on the agenda is the tree locations and
No.
CCs on the common.
No, I haven't, it's the violations.
Oh, yeah.
It is right under voting.
Yeah.
Do you have a wrong agenda?
No, it says discuss August meeting, right?
The violations first. we have to do the
Oh, okay, sorry.
Am I right or am I
You're
wrong?
right.
You're right.
Maura wants to get out of
More
here.
really. Laura, jeez.
I'm with you, Mara.
Skip the violations.
So then, could you enlighten us?
Well, they're relatively benign. I don't know if that's fortunate or unfortunate. They're, the one in regards to the high school, they basically said due to the fact that it was violated for the past 30 years, there is no violation.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, yeah, I noticed that the footprint really wasn't any different.
It wasn't, but the issue is, it wasn't about the field in general. It was all the work they had pushed over to the side, and then that there's no barrier. I thought you were supposed,
Yeah.
they're built right up to
Yeah.
it. There's garbage, there's trees. So,
Did you happen to go down?
I did,
Yeah.
yeah.
and it just seems like, and then
I
there's,
went down.
they're not meeting of the level of regulations to protect those.
Yeah.
I mean, especially being around a field, I would hope this wouldn't happen, but you could have a lot of foot traffic. I don't think you do at that corner, but you could. And then, unfortunately, you know, I had 4 children, you could have garbage down there if you're watching a game and then you leave your water bottle or, so I'm not, I feel like the department, it's just a feeling, was very nonchalant about, almost to the point of not being that interested. I mean, I basically had to beg for them to go. They were gonna wait. They wanted to hear back from the school, which I even said, why would, if I was a school, I wouldn't even get back to you. The children are in session. How are they gonna have time for getting in session? When would they have time to respond? Aren't you just supposed to go out anyways? Yeah. And that was after, so, and then it just said, since, and then they just really looked at the field itself.
Yeah, with the question asked, right, do you have something, Kirby?
Well, my concern was with the work that they did, there was no silt fencing put in place.
That's what,
And they, I mean,
And it
if
was
you
a
read,
new field.
if you read their interpretation,
it needs to be done.
if you're doing any kind of groundwork adjacent to a watershed,
Yeah.
you're supposed to have these things
I
done.
see, I
And
see,
they
yeah.
weren't done.
Yeah.
And there's garbage.
And yeah, they pushed a bunch of old stuff down into the edge of the swamp there, the banks. And they specifically refer to banks on their,
Should I do they think that was an old field? Is it,
it
did
is,
they?
well, that
It
field's
is.
been there
I
forever.
feel it.
That's why I say the footprint really
But
hasn't changed.
I did the
Yeah.
application that there was just work done on it. I don't even know if that was caught. Did they think they were inspecting a 30-year-old field? This was a brand-new field.
That's what I don't know if the
It was a
question was.
refinished field, it
Yeah.
wasn't a brand new field.
It's a
The field was
yeah.
in place.
Right.
They retopped it and did a lot of groundwork and earth moving.
Remember though, the pipe that they burst on the way, did you hear about that through there? There was a lot
I heard
of
about it
digging.
early on, they had a
Yeah.
pipe that they didn't know was there.
This didn't seem minor to me. It seemed basically they ripped off the field and they put in a new one.
Somebody said there was an old well that
There is an old well there that's also,
came across.
it's
yeah.
it still
Catch
has
basin.
like a piece of wood over it and you can't see the bottom. Like, it's one of those wells that
But originally it was the old.
if you
dump.
throw a rock in it, you don't hear the rock hit the bottom.
Really?
Close it, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
know,
what
and
Cliff
it's right
said, it
behind
was
the
in,
school.
They used to dump down there.
down, up,
Originally
yeah.
was,
It's, you know where it's right by? It's right by the,
And we're worried about
the
water
frisbee
contamination?
game thing.
But I'm with you, the
Is
silt fence and,
It just seems like there's a double standard.
Should I go
Yeah.
back and check, do they realize this was a break? Because again, if no one had ever touched the field, well, since we had essentially put in a brand new field, that's a lot of work that got done on that property. That's not a field that no one's paid, we just mow every year, it hasn't been touched for 30 years. It really is virtually brand new, in the same place.
I think the question that needed to be asked is if the contractor had gotten the proper permitting to start the work. You usually can't do anything to start the work until you've gotten
Within a certain area.
with wetlands there, but I'm afraid it's school in town, and
Well, and I think
government and-
you're butting against a department that seems very obtuse to caring about the wetlands here. I literally had to beg them to go. Well, and why hadn't they gone after like 25 days? No answer, and then you get back a letter that you violated it for so long, it's no violation.
well, I don't think the question was asked properly.
Okay,
And I don't,
No, I
I'm
know
not
you
saying
don't.
that to you. I
No,
just-
trust me, I don't take any offense.
You know what I mean?
I don't
Whether-
either now, and I'm gonna rewrite it. Of course, you have to conform to their forms,
Right.
which I fill out, but maybe I need to have an attachment of an explanation, which I didn't
Right.
necessarily do. So I'm gonna resubmit. I fully agree. Ken, I don't take offense.
So there would be 4 things that you would address.
Okay, go ahead and list them, so
The contractor getting the correct permits, the old well, the banking, and then the no silt fencing.
during construction.
Well, isn't the school the owner of the property, the responsible party ultimately?
That's what I'm saying.
Unless they had it in their contract that the contractor is supposed to.
Yeah, it's usually the person getting the work done. That's what I'm afraid to say.
You would think they would
that-
communicate at least, does anybody, to see if anybody has any issues. You know,
But wouldn't they know that they'd have to come before the different boards?
I would assume that the contractor would, but what I'm afraid of is it's the school making contact with a contractor and saying, we would like a new field. And they come out and give them a price and say, yep, we can do this, well, and I can start on Tuesday. Well, do that.
remember when we were debating who actually owned the wetlands? Does anyone remember? I think they were ours.
The town's, town forest,
Yeah.
I guess,
And I
I
forget,
think most, I believe most of the wetlands are in the town forest. Property.
I have to go, I'm gonna confirm that too, because we, basically, once the field ends, we own everything else. But I forget, do they get that wetland? Because I think it's kind of ours.
The wetlands is ours.
Well, and it goes a little into them. But they are right up to, if not further. There's very little, since it's town and school, it's not like 2 separate personal property owners.
No.
It's like no one, if it was my land, I might notice that someone's building a field on it. Where with us, we're not paying attention
Right.
to the school. I'll confirm too, if the wetlands are split or if it's fully us.
And no
Right.
proposals ever came before the town, did they, for any reason?
And the wetlands determine the school property. That's what
It
it does.
kinda
Those are the
does.
boundaries.
Right.
Yeah.
on,
So
on,
that-
on
it's-
paper
And
though?
you can't, no, on
Yeah.
our mapping, it's
Yeah.
on our I had given it to us from the Harvard, do you want me to go get that now? Or I can just get,
I
I can
think we
forward.
go further with this.
Okay.
We're-
So
It's
if
it's
it-
considered town forest. So if
It is,
The
okay.
wetlands,
all of that.
all
So-
the wetlands.
Yes, it's
But
part of
the
it.
area that was worked on is school property.
property.
Right, I understand that.
So the
But-
school hired a contractor to put
understand
the
that.
fields.
But I want to know how the school takes ownership of the town forest.
They don't.
In many ways, they do, because they do the logging, the sapping, they have the,
That property in the back is theirs. They own that portion of up the hill,
Well, right on the ski jumps and
No, I think
Yeah.
that area.
that's town of Newport.
not from the side, not from the ski jump.
Yeah, we should look at the,
It's
we should look at
Yeah.
the property boundary,
Right.
yeah.
Isn't that rec department?
The
No.
town forest is governed by the rec department.
all right, so that's what I was looking for. The town forest is governed by the,
Rec
Rec
department.
department.
But the tree cutting area that you're talking about, where they log is owned by the school.
But that would include the jumps?
No,
Oh,
it's from the jumps to the right if you were looking at it, behind the school. The
uh-huh,
property behind the school that they use to climb trees and cut trees and all of that,
Huh.
learn how to log, is owned by the school.
Should look at the boundary tax
Yeah.
map. I think
yeah.
that would be,
So how did the rec department be in control of the town forest?
well, it's still owned by the town, if,
Yeah.
yeah, one way or the other.
Yeah, but,
I think it had something to do back when the rec center, or the recreation fields were built, the old ARC complex that came about back, I believe it was in the sixties. I think they started
When
in
they
the
put in
sixties.
the,
It was, the rec department actually controlled that area where the fields were put.
the rec department at that time used to maintain the grounds. They mowed the grasses, they did all of that stuff. The cemeteries and all of that were done by the rec
It's more
department.
like the parks.
Yeah, they're mowed parks and recs,
Oh.
exactly.
so we kind of just said, all right, so the rec department's gonna do the town forest up there on the hill?
Well, now you're getting into the history of, that all changed when
The departments
my
changed.
department was created
Yeah,
in '90 by Dan and the board
yeah,
to separate that, and then the rec department just did recreational things within the forest. And at that time, they had the ski jump,
yeah,
they had the two smaller jumps, they had walking trails out there that were created by, some of it with the Conservation Commission, and the boardwalk was put in.
yeah.
I think some of those things were built with state monies because it was under the recreational.
Yeah, the boardwalk was federal money, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back many years ago.
You know what? It does state in this letter to the school that they were supposed to receive permitting. And if they didn't ask for any permitting, and they may realize that they have not attained permitting or permitting under another name, but if you haven't, NHDES requests you to voluntarily refrain from any additional work, which that never happened. That's on the third page of the,
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, that was their solution? You didn't get permitting through DES, you didn't go through the proper channels, so if you're in violation of all that, we ask you to voluntarily stop?
By the time they did this, issued this, it was done. They already had the grass on it.
That's the dilemma, and that's what I'm saying. It's going back to, you can go back to municipality, school and municipality. I mean, it's within the same guy.
This is the
I'm not
state,
agreeing with it.
this is the state level though.
I'm not agreeing with
I
it,
know.
but
Just
it's
frustrating.
not like Herbie's decided to put a soccer field in his yard. The DES is gonna make sure that he does the permitting, and he's gonna come around. If he
Oh,
hasn't, he's
I
gonna be
see.
fine.
I see what
But
you're
if it's
saying,
a
Ken.
municipality or
They're
a
like,
school,
oh, see no evil.
Now I have a case file where I can say, hey, you got these guys, let these guys get
Right,
away with it.
if you can't have two
I don't
sets of
agree.
laws. I see your
Yes, you
point.
can. Yes, you can. Case in point, the school and their light sign out front.
yep.
I hadn't noticed that. Well, anyways, it's just my frustration with DS.
I
'cause
bet.
I've been struggling with Concord for a while amongst other things, that there's just no response.
It's
Yep.
okay.
But this seems sad to me.
It is.
Just
Well,
fix
it's
the,
sad
just put in the silk fencing and properly permit, and let's try to fix it. It doesn't have to be punitive.
But it's, the silt fencing would be of no use at this point.
Oh, it wouldn't
It's all
now?
done.
The work is done.
The work is done. The
Oh, I
stilt
thought
fence,
for future, it
No.
keeps it
No.
from,
No, it just keeps
Run.
loose
During
dirt.
during construction.
oh,
Yeah.
it's only only do,
No.
Yeah,
oh, I thought you kept it in for perpetuity
No,
so
no.
things don't,
no.
like,
Just takes care of runoff, all you got.
okay, I did not know, it. Well, now I know, I learned
Huge
something.
piles of dirt, I don't know if you ever
Oh,
saw them. They have
Yes, oh,
massive
absolutely, and if
mountains of
there's a
dirt.
storm, you don't want that filling in your, okay.
That's what the silk
Oh, I
fencing
didn't realize, I thought silk fencing was put up to protect, like, when new construction goes in, like on Spring Street. I thought for kind of perpetuity, if like, the topography changed.
No,
Oh, okay,
only during
No,
construction.
so
and,
prior to construction, they put up a silt fence along the wetlands.
to
That
protect them.
would've stopped the sand and silt, what it's called, from
Right.
going into the wetlands. And it would have stopped them from being able to push the brush
In,
into the
Right.
wetlands.
On the-
That's our concern.
and, okay, I honestly did not know how that worked, so that's good for me to
So
know.
that's what I meant, that if you may be asking the wrong question as, should they be putting it up now? No, they shouldn't.
Well, no,
They
I was
should
just,
have.
right. So maybe there is nothing they can do now that everything's done.
Well,
Maybe
there-
that's the issue. They're like, you've already done damage.
Well, there's a piece of cyclone fence that they pushed into it that's still
Yeah.
sitting.
Sitting there, that
I mean,
too.
yeah,
One of them, well, yeah, it's all crushed up.
yeah.
I don't think
yeah.
anyone, this is
There's
actually,
also
no,
some large, almost like guardrail posts.
Did they
that go
come
a little
down
further
and
down
look
from
at the
fence.
site?
actually, I was about to say that I don't believe they did, but they did document who came and when they came. They did do that on September 1st, which I had put out the complaint on August 3rd. They're supposed to respond back to me on, now, I agree this is a tight timeline, but back to me that they've already gone and looked within 7 days due to the fact it's not, it's like a virus. You don't just check it out whenever. You're supposed to mitigate it immediately. They waited a month, and that was only because of you guys put me going. So anyways, neither here nor there, someone did, and they listed, I think, the person's name. Maybe not, but they did say on a site visit with a land resource, I'm not sure if they even said who went out. But that one of their personnel from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental
It's
Services
one of their staff members.
went out, one of their staff members went out on September 1st. It would have been nice to possibly have their name listed, and then you could question or see their report, but
It would have been nice to meet out there with them and make
I
sure they
asked
were
if
in
we
the
could,
right
and they said
spot.
they didn't want us.
Really?
I asked, could we meet, or do you call the, and they just said no. But that's right, so you, and I asked, because even Herb, I'm like, I'll go. Herb will go.
Sure, yeah.
And one of the other problems that I had was on the backside. They had actually run a bulldozer partially out into the swamp. And there were trees that had fallen over and they were really obvious at that point because they were smashed
Pushed
down.
down.
Yeah.
So
And
can't that be mitigated by trying to like pull
that was into,
the
that was
garbage out
obviously into the
gently?
wetlands, yeah. When the trees came down in the wetlands, we were just left laying there.
Did we know if they even got a permit, though?
No,
They didn't get a permit.
they said unless the school did it under some ambiguous name. And I gave the United Construction, they could have, United didn't pull any permits. You know what, it's interesting that they say under a different name. Wouldn't the location of the work, if you pulled permits for wetlands, don't you just need to look up the map?
They should know that
Right,
it
it's
was
just
where
like
it
whether
was,
they're permits.
regardless of the name.
They
yeah.
say, we don't see any permits unless you put it under some name that we have no knowledge of, but it would go with the property, not the name. So I'm gonna try and ask and see what we can even do if we believe there's garbage that was left after construction was completed. And we know the damage is done with silk fencing and stuff and no permitting and voluntarily stopping, blah, blah, blah. But now, could we ask them to remove the garbage from the wetlands? Or could the,
Well, it's not
Right,
really in
and
the wetlands, it's on the banks of the
I know.
wetlands. But they do, like I say, they do refer to banks on their thing, so.
okay, well, I'll work on that.
All right, any more discussion on that?
There was another one that I added,
Newport Golf Club,
yes, so you're aware, there's work being,
Yeah.
oh, Well, actually, this is DES coming in to protect. I don't think the golf club itself, it's the first one, emergency authorization verification.
Is this the first page,
Yes.
Christina?
65 linear feet and 35 linear feet of the south branch of the Sugar River at the Newport Golf Club.
But they're always doing this. I don't
I
understand.
think this is probably just adding rock along.
That's what the golf club's
edge
doing.
of the river to keep it from eroding the golf course.
Yeah, that was
And
after
so
the
this
high
is
water.
just us being made aware. Now, let me ask you this. Shouldn't the golf course be here? In front of you? Because they own property in Newport that they're doing work around? Wouldn't that come in for any cases with wetlands?
Well, this is an emergency authorization verification, so
It was
they
due to
applied
that.
to somebody for a permit to do
Okay, so they did the proper road.
this. I would assume they must have.
DES,
notified
direct.
DES, yeah.
I still think they should have come to us prior, the golf club course.
At least with a notification, if not.
They're supposed to give a
hearing.
presentation.
Yeah.
I can look up their file and see how much work they've done, and and where the wetlands are. Do people know where the wetlands are on that property?
That's the river along the back,
Okay.
South Branch.
And then there's the last one that's slightly interesting, because you guys have seen them. I've brought them to you. It's the Norwich Technologies. Whenever I get a case for planning and zoning that has wetlands on the property, I then put them on your agenda, and we kind of, last year, we were either forward or backwards. We were either you were too early, or I did you after.
We were too late.
Right, too late, I know, so we should admit it, but this one,
No, this is the Sunapee, and
This is the
it was
proposed.
correctly
This is
done.
the,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes,
this is the one out by T-Bird.
Right.
yes, that one did come before
And-
planning and
Yeah.
everything, so.
but is this,
That was,
You had them presented.
yes, to us.
Yeah.
So is this letter from DES to you, this is your copy, stated that they could go forward?
Yes.
It is. Okay,
The way I
so,
read it, yeah.
so I can add that and, because I know that was held up.
The permit is good until 2026, so as long as they finish prior to September 15th, 2026.
Because they haven't started any construction
No.
on T-Bird, none. I haven't got one permit to move
They
forward.
struggled a bit finishing up Turkey Hill.
I believe that part of the, motion to accept their proposal was to have all of the permitting.
Done.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just wanted to confirm that, or let them know that there haven't been any built construction permits yet. There are wetlands also on that Turkey Hill.
There are.
Yes,
But
a
it's
small
taken
amount,
them-
and they came in front of this board.
Yeah, but it took them far longer than what they had expected it to take to finish up down there.
Yeah, is that been cleaned up? I haven't been down there.
It's actually looking pretty good now, but there's still some backed up water flow up top on that top road. They put
Really?
in riprap, stones and stuff down the drainage, but there was a pretty good backflow of water about 150 feet down the backside of that road.
During the big floods or whatever, water
Right now,
rains.
there's I went down there yesterday, day before yesterday, and there's probably a foot and a half deep water in one spot on the backside.
Do you think
Where it's
that
backing up, yeah.
do you think that caused any issue to the wetlands that are closer to the front of the property?
I would doubt it.
Okay,
I think that's just runoff from the hillside.
yeah.
I don't remember them coming before us.
They didn't. That was a concern I had on the phone that night, is everything had gone through to a certain point, and we were being asked at the latest point that,
You were
Yeah.
asked
and
at the
I
latest
said we
point.
should have gone,
But-
anything.
But only by the town manager, right? It wasn't the group of people
No, no,
that
no.
were doing it.
It was, and the planning board said, where is the Conservation Commission notes on this? And I said, we had canceled like 2 meetings for good reason, and I said, they're on the next agenda, and they put it on the Turkey Hill approval, that they had to get Conservation Commission approval first. That's why when I said to you, I know you're the second, but they don't have planning board approval till they've gotten your approval. Remember, we went kind of back and forth on that. So even though you were after, they were held up until you approved it, if that makes sense.
No,
We never know, they had gone through the work. That was my,
the work was done.
the work was done. That was,
But they were seen in front of you. You saw them for Turkey Hill.
No, we did not.
No, we did not. We
No, you-
saw the Sunapee Street one. No, it was when Hunter
We were-
said it was done.
They were seen for purchase, the town being
The sale.
gifted the land.
They
That's what
He
happened.
came in and talked about that, and it was done. It was said and done.
Hunter needed us to sign off on the land switch. You remember?
Right, that was
I
Hunter.
wasn't, Barry was,
Yeah.
I think then, I wasn't here.
And I was home and I said, so
Right,
you want
this
us to
is-
switch off on the land, but we haven't seen any of the,
Okay, I've got to check that, because that would then be obviously my violation. They came to talk, the wetlands were in the front, remember? They had a driveway
No.
that went right next to, you never saw the Turkey Hill.
no, that's what I had said that night, Christine, that
That's what I
we had
misunderstood
never, we were
then.
never notified about
I-
that construction.
I think,
And I said, I know that the construction is done. I mean, you drive by and it's all done, this is beyond. And I said to Hunter over the phone, so what you need us to do tonight is to sign off on the land switch. And he said, yes. I said, because the work is all done. And he said, yes. And I said, then I make a motion, I think I made a motion, that we accept it. And then I said, but we need to get those permitting,
yes.
we need to get notified when permitting is done.
And I think it's all it wasn't Hunter's, that for Turkey
No.
Hill, that would be me. And when I was discussing that with you, I know we did it backwards, Ken, but you at least came at a later date. The planning board, the planning board
Never
saw them
saw 'em.
first, but you're saying you never saw them.
Never saw 'em.
My whole argument was, the planning board was only to say yes, because they specifically said, why don't we have CC contribution
That's
in
right.
on this?
'Cause
And
I
I
knew.
said, they're on next month and you're gonna get, and they said contingent. Oh,
Well,
so it's my mistake and
Yeah.
not Hunter's if I have
well, I'm
not
not
taken
I'm not
Turkey.
blaming Hunter.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
I'm
but I
blaming
just-
you.
Are you blaming me? I misunderstood that.
He's almost one
Why
of the
would
fingers.
You're getting confused too, because then you're confusing the conversation we had, you and I, when I came into the office about something else the next day.
Yes,
I came in and I said, hey, this is what I was saying last night, is that the conservation needs to be notified when they do the bidding. And I had said it that night. So a mistake was made, Christine, that's all.
I'm gonna check.
But it had to-
You had no overview on that property.
No.
Because I even brought you the Spring Street that has never been even constructed. Do you remember that?
Right.
That's how I'm lost on how I missed that, because they even had to go, I'm aware that they went to DES, like this isn't a thing that I've missed.
Well, it's
So
over
I'll
and
look
done.
it up and I sincerely apologize.
No,
And
that's-
obviously, if there was any violation, I can go look and make sure what they said they would do, they did do. I can at least go do that
Okay.
based on construction. And I don't believe, although I could be corrected, I could ask DES, after there is construction, does DES come out and look at, after someone said, this is what we're gonna do, that they actually do it, or do they just go with, you have voluntarily
Now, if
complied?
they've done all the
I would say if it's been permitted,
paperwork
if they
and
had permitted
permitted,
it,
yeah.
then they would probably come out and check to make sure it was done properly.
They do, okay.
But if they felt there was no permit needed, I would doubt if they just signed off and said it.
And that's why I
At the
wasn't
beginning,
that,
they wouldn't come back.
I mean, I wasn't that upset because I know that the silt fencing had been done. They had done
They had
everything they
done it.
needed to do. I drive by that going to Goshen. So I had seen the construction going on. So,
I mean,
It
it
just
was, I
looks-
don't know how I don't know what I can,
Well,
but I
from what I've
just
seen-
assumed
Well, I mean,
you saw
okay.
Turkey.
From what I remember of the planning board discussions and what I see down there now, it's pretty much what they said they were
Yeah.
gonna do.
It was,
I just-
okay.
Just looking at it
And I don't
now,
believe anyone's looking to ruin wetlands. I just had never believed I did not have them present to you. They know they have to present to you.
Yeah, well, that's confusing to me. Why wouldn't they have followed up with you?
They
Yeah.
know they have to go to
Right.
which boards. So I'll follow through to make sure everything was done correctly. The worst case scenario, which sounds like is accurate, that they never even came for to you, but they actually followed.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was under the belief that they were on the agenda after the planning board was contingent upon your approval that they do.
But we were in the middle of COVID too,
I
you
know,
so,
and that's
you
what
know.
I remember, the two, okay, so, but I will check that out anyways, and at least help me not make the mistake in the future, however that felt.
That's a good one. I'll go with that.
Perfect, thank you. So I don't make another one, because I know better.
Yeah,
So,
but
okay.
But these contractors know what they're supposed to do too.
They do,
So
that's
some of
why-
the onus should be on them.
I'm
as
shocked that they didn't even say we have to have a CC. Well, okay, I'm gonna see where it fell through. I have a feeling it's me.
Well. All right.
So, we move on.
So that's then, okay, so there were all the letters. And there is some additional mail. It's relatively benign, and I don't know if someone wants to take that. I found it kind of interesting.
Let's take it.
There's one about.
I'll take it home to the president.
Right, right.
President. So, now we will discuss August meeting. Tree locations and specific species on the common.
It was really interesting. I really enjoyed that
Yeah.
That's
one.
what, so, yeah.
And Jesse's a really important person, I think, to
Yeah.
have on this committee.
Yeah, well, I think everybody is, but yes.
No, his
knowledge,
expertise.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
expertise in
I
the tree.
wasn't diminishing anybody
Yeah,
else, but.
his expertise in the tree field was very helpful. But I think we made a good choice in Gwen Gallagher to do the work on the common as well. Top notch. I was able to get down Monday and poke around a little bit as I got started before I left town, and Linda and I walked the common before we came here, and they did a real nice job. Yeah, they got into the trees as deep as they probably wanted to and needed to, and the one that I think Jesse and Gwen were worried about cutting was the pin oak, the big pin oak by the bandstand on the
Where they
Route 10,
paved
Route
area.
10 side. And I think I don't know if you get down and anybody else get down, take a look.
Are they done with the trimming at
They're
this point?
done with the trimming on the
Okay.
common.
I saw them out there, but I hadn't seen the finished
Yeah.
product.
And the blue spruce kind of looks like a blue spruce still.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah,
They cut out all the wires and
yeah.
They
all
were,
the dead branches, and they took off the second top, second leader to give it a top. So,
did they do any of the cabling or
no,
while they were
none of that,
branching?
none of that stuff yet. So they were just gonna do the trimming, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So,
Do we know if there were any calls from the public to the town manager about it?
oh, I wouldn't know to the town man, although Hunter could have let me know that there were some, but no, I don't believe so. The work, I did a drive-by, after I saw Linda's email, and yeah, they looked great. I think there were 3 or 4 of them crawling around like monkeys in the trees. They looked like they knew what they were doing.
I do.
And the trees looked great. I thought they had looked good before, but yeah, obviously they're separated better, they're thinner, the dead's
But to your
out.
point, Don, I felt the same way about, there probably should have been some kind of notification. And the guys that were trimming that morning,
Oh, to let the public know what was going
yeah,
on?
in that open an area,
Mhm.
like he said, you know, if we're gonna get people, you know, I hope it was any kind of notification put out. And I said, I know that the Conservation Commission didn't,
Mhm.
but I hope maybe We
I
could have got
believe the
something.
town put it out on the town website a couple of times
Okay.
over the summer.
Yeah,
And I know it was on What's Up Newport.
okay.
Oh, good.
It was,
Good.
I actually saw a posting from, I'm not sure who put it out, but
Has
it might have been
complaints
the
or,
town. No, just that,
Thank
that
you.
the work was started on the common.
Oh, good.
The pruning was started.
great.
So the town does post on that website? No, not the
It gets
website.
transferred, they post on the town of Newport site,
Mhm.
and
They're
I
linked.
don't know if individuals transfer it over to the What's Up site.
Oh, I see, somebody may have taken
I
it upon
believe it
themselves
was-
to do
yeah, I
that.
think it was just
I
reposted.
Okay.
So good, that was a concern that the guys had,
Mhm.
you know, that they were gonna be on,
On the hot seat, in the hot seat, yeah.
I don't,
yeah.
in the hot seat.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, well, I came down to see the most I could before I left, and I wasn't sure about anybody else, so I said, you might see some people come up and, you know, they'll identify themselves if they're from the committee, but
I'm sure
I said-
probably next year when they
The
start
trees
pulling
go
them out.
Yes.
You know,
that would be-
pulling the teeth and probably will be some,
well,
Well, I
But
mean,
if it's put on the website,
Yeah, we should-
properly,
get some stuff out.
public's notified, that's a
well, we
good
can
idea.
also post on our website, I can post something, you have to figure out how to post, like, I don't know how to do like pictures, or like if you made a, tree, it's usually just writing, I can just post writing, and I feel like it gets a little more lost. But, and maybe Maura can even talk to this, I was in a meeting about something entirely different, but they've talked again about that the Newport, magazine, and now I hear it's bi-monthly,
a newsletter.
the newsletter. Oh, so Herb could talk to this.
It's going to be bi-monthly, I believe.
Yeah, and that Christine is now fully, it isn't turning over, is Christine writing it?
I believe there are contributions by several different
People.
entities.
Well, she was saying she was lacking because they were having the Upper Valley Lakes Regional, or Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission write an article about the Brownfields grant we're doing for the Embargus Mills. Again, our fourth try, I think, to get that 500 grand. And they were gonna have Vicky, and I forget Vicky's
I live
last
out there.
name,
To the mill?
but she
I
said we
live
could
in
use
Upper Port
articles,
Sesame.
and I would
Been out
love
to the
us
mill?
to have
Have you
a,
been
like,
into the mill?
ask the arborist, or
Not
Right.
recently,
ask
but
Comfort, and
I've known
we
it
could
from a child.
have
that used
a
to-
standing
Well, yeah,
article
That would
in
be a
there.
good
And
idea.
she said she needed authors.
yeah.
So maybe I could ask her, I had heard that it was kind of removed from our hands, and it was almost like taken by the old newspaper was gonna kind of run it, and now I hear it's back, it's in now, and I heard it was quarterly, and now it's bi-monthly.
Yeah, the last I heard it was bi-monthly. It's been first issue, I think, is coming out beginning of November, I think. It's the
And it's something the
projected date.
town is putting,
the town is involved, I think Econ, I believe, is involved.
That would be, yeah, that's the
Yeah,
town,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Or, oh, well, there's that econ, right,
Yeah,
group.
yeah. There's a lot of sponsorship money coming from different sources to
Oh.
get this whole project started.
so it's not solely a town newsletter.
Yeah,
I think it's
No,
gonna be
it's
nice.
just
It
name.
is
like-
gonna be
Oh.
just solely
Newport,
Newport,
yeah.
but
I
it's
see,
it's
yeah.
but it's gonna be all sorts,
Yeah,
different, like Chamber of Commerce will
Yeah.
probably have a page or
Right.
something, or part of a page, and
It's gonna
And
look like a
econ,
magazine,
yeah.
though. I think it's gonna look nice, like lacquer, shiny paper and everything,
Mm.
right? Isn't that accurate?
I've seen what was upstairs, but I haven't been a part of the actual planning and.
No,
putting
neither
together
have I. I
plans.
just heard about it, and I just heard they were black. And I think even if we wrote an article at least twice a year, and I'm sure we could,
Yeah.
much less maybe put postings, like the town common activity.
or the need to get wetlands permits during construction.
Well, you could,
Just public outreach.
Right.
Yeah, that-
Right, we could
makes a lot of sense
have
to me.
it would be cool to have us have an article bi-monthly. I could see if there's any room for that.
Okay.
Like a town meeting, or a town commission page or something, that's,
Mm.
Well, I
I
thought
mean, you
ask
could-
the arborist. And people could even write in, and then they could reply down
Yeah,
for arborist. But
yeah.
I thought that would be cool.
Couldn't we, I would think as a conservation commission, if if an article is gonna be written on our behalf, we would need to agree on the
You would write it.
contents.
You would write it. If
Yeah.
it was gonna be under you, it would be
But not,
you.
not me
Yeah.
personally. I
Well,
mean,
right,
the-
or
Oh,
me,
yeah, yeah,
Sean
your
would
idea.
write it.
I'm happy to write,
No,
I
we
don't
would
mind
never
writing.
have anyone write it for you.
was
No,
kinda
it
thinking
would be
like-
you.
I don't mean I'm gonna
Local
voice my
government.
opinions on behalf of
agree.
the
I'll-
conservation.
Selectmen or anybody could,
BOS,
whatever's
right.
going on.
Right,
put
absolutely.
something onto that page.
So you know this, okay, so I'll try to find out more. It seems like I won't get it, unfortunately, although I guess I'll see it here, but everyone in the town's gonna get it.
Huh.
And I
I'll
think
share my copy
it's
with you.
gonna look like, it's
Usually
gonna
comes
look
in
like
the
the
mail.
Lake Sunapee magazine.
Huh.
That's that magazine paper, not
That's
like,
good.
not
That's
like
excellent.
paper. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay. So would you maybe we think we could do an article a couple times a year
Sure.
if we committed to
Yeah.
that?
yeah,
Just need ideas and,
I thi- Yeah.
Agreement on
Just the
what to
town
write.
green progress alone would be worth talking about twice a year.
well, it would be nice to get some donations for, tree identification on the common,
yeah.
and,
Well, if it's a bi-monthly paper, I mean, it seems like we should be able to come up with some good news
Yeah.
during our
If
meetings.
we
Yeah.
wanna go out for that, I
Once a month.
absolutely agree.
Yeah.
If you wanna go, we wanna go, I was just thinking, we could at least commit to, but you're right, we could come up, plus our topics I think are kinda interesting,
yeah.
personally.
right.
Opposed to like planning board or I don't know, or zoning, although,
Okay.
but no, I like planning, I like all my boards, but this one at least, it seems more like nice to read after you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like if you were flipping through a magazine.
Well, I wonder how many residents of Newport even know that the town has a forest, a town forest.
Oh, I know.
That's
There-
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
that would be an
I
article right
agree,
there.
great.
There's a lot of new
The
people
trails.
coming into town.
The trails,
The
yeah.
trails,
The trail could
exactly.
be a big thing,
Yeah.
trail map or whatever could be included in
Yeah,
there.
Mhm.
So many things.
and we have a forest management plan for it, you know,
We
And
do.
Gilman
I have
Pond
it
is another
here.
one, right? We-
right?
Just
We
to
have
inform
a-
the public of what we're doing and
Right.
what's available to
I mean,
them.
we can take even articles out of the, I mean, the work's been done for us,
Yeah.
out of the, management plans.
Yeah. We could have Cliff write up some history about
Absolutely.
Oh,
the
yeah.
new
Is
forest.
Cliff still a member? I mean, an
No.
alternate? Is he still?
No, he's
No.
not.
Oh, he's not?
An associate member, I guess you'd call him. He didn't want to be committed to
If we
being
could-
there every night.
Yeah, if you had something though that you really thought he could contribute
Oh, he
to,
would, and that's what he would
well,
come
and I
do.
could make sure I ask him specifically.
Right,
Well, could we put you on the agenda like we
Right.
do with Todd and stuff?
right.
And that would be best, and then I think he'd easily come via
Yeah,
Zoom.
no, he's already
Yeah.
said that. That's what he wanted to do. He'd been around for a long time on this thing, so. So, are we done discussing?
Well, did we do anything with the
Commons and
species?
trees?
No,
The tree
so,
species?
so is the concept that you guys are gonna pick the exact trees you want? That was the exact, like, and there was so much talked about that night, I almost got, I found it amazing, I couldn't believe, but what were your thoughts? What are the thoughts? It seems more complicated a question because they're supposed to differentiate, and then ones that have more sun or less sun, this one doesn't have as much room as this next to this.
Gwen seemed to, for the larger type tree, like an oak, a native oak species.
That's true.
I don't remember there were 2 or 3 different
Right.
species. And then he had some smaller trees, and I don't recall the name of them. But he figured that for spacing wise, that maybe you got 2 big trees, maybe a smaller tree in between so that everybody can branch out.
Let me get the diagram together, and then because
Yeah.
you will, as a commission, need to vote on the exact trees. Do I have it correct that it's gonna be 3 the first year and 3 the next, so you don't do
Yeah.
it all at once? Okay,
I
so,
think it was 2 and 3. Like I said,
okay,
I'm pretty sure that the 6th tree was, maybe it needed to go and maybe we could save it.
That was the one on the Buck Street.
okay.
think
I have
that-
to come up with the accuracy on all those
Yeah.
numbers too, okay. So we need, do you want me to compile the diagram first and maybe even try to,
Yeah,
on the
and then you could-
diagram, have the
You
size
could
of,
identify the
It wouldn't be
species
bad,
that are there now.
and then you
on
guys
your
come up with,
diagram, and then, yeah,
you come up with where you wanna plop in. This will be an empty space, like pre-empty, what it looks like now, and once it's empty, and then you could plop in your new species.
But I think, there was a suggestion for a maple, too.
yeah, there was
Yeah.
maple and
An
oak
oak?
would seem
Yeah.
to be the strongest,
Yeah,
the better, fastest growing.
yeah.
And weren't there
More
different
maples.
maples? Didn't he
Yeah,
talk
ours-
like a red maple?
Well, that, yeah, isn't that the one that's non-native?
It's non-native.
Right.
Yeah,
It's non-native.
he wasn't
He didn't,
recommending.
Oh,
yeah, he didn't
okay.
want to put any more of those, but he wouldn't take any of those out. They're healthy, but they're non,
I think he,
No,
That
there was
was my
something called a red
understanding, too,
maple,
yeah.
but it wasn't red, it was green. I thought the
there is a red
Sugar
maple
maple.
that is,
a
native,
sugar maple.
Yeah,
native, it was
There is-
green. He called it red because it turned red in the fall.
A sugar maple.
yeah. No, but there is a red maple. And
The-
then there's a sugar
I
maple.
believe he didn't like the red maples that were down there, whatever species.
Are
No,
are
those
we
were-
sure they're
those-
red? I thought they were Norway. weren't
They
Right,
were
Norway
Norway
maples,
maple,
those
they
are
were
the-
not
yeah.
red.
They have reddish
They're
leaves, but he
purple.
also said some of them can have green, even though they're the same species, they can, it's like
Right.
people, you know, people having,
Oh, okay, right,
you
right.
know?
I
But
thought,
they're the invasives. They're not natives.
Right, we don't
so-
want those.
so there's no native red maple that exists.
Yeah,
I think
Norway
there is
maple.
one.
yes.
No, there is one that's turning red, so I think,
Norway, and the red, and the
That's
sugar maple.
invasive.
a sugar maple.
Sugar maple is, yeah, and there's a soft maple, I think, sometimes they're known as swamp
But the
maple.
maple
Yes.
trees that
Silver
are out
maples.
front, the purple,
Yes, those are invasive.
those are invasive.
I got that. I thought there was a green maple tree that was
Yeah.
called a red maple and turned for a reason.
Yes, there is a red maple that is native.
Native.
It's on our list here.
But again, okay, so that's up to you. I just was going with the oak, the maple, possibly a red maple unless all disagree.
I think we need to keep kicking the idea of the species around because it's probably also gonna depend on what the select board decides to do about vehicles on the common.
Yeah, and
Because
price.
there was some discussion, I don't know if anybody watched Monday night's meeting,
No,
but we were talking about a possible curbing down
Right.
Park Street.
Great.
way to do it.
Or putting in, Hunter suggested the small posts, short posts with
So
a
you
railing.
block it.
And then there would be like an 8-foot space, and then there would be another post and rail section.
Curbing.
And we would leave an opening for like the food trucks for the events on the common.
But I don't
Not
think
so that
it's
vehicles
changing.
can
I don't think
access.
the vehicles would change your, because it's what happens now,
It's
right?
gonna depend on,
Yeah.
spacing is gonna be an issue with the type of tree and where they're gonna go.
True. Okay, so let me get the diagram made,
Yeah,
right?
we
That's a
can
good
do that.
idea, right?
Is there any reason why we can't talk to Gwen again
Yeah,
about this?
I don't see why
Absolutely.
not.
Get him back so
Yeah,
we can, maybe,
and I think he would
maybe if
like
we
to-
had him in front of us, we could
Yeah.
pick him out right
Right.
then and there.
Yeah.
I also
So-
will say, if it is difficult for Gwen to get here, although he doesn't live far away, he would be that whole TV, if he's the only one that's logged in. Now, if you had like Cliff and Gwen, it divides in half, but it would be nice, but if he can't, I could always see the option. It saves someone at least an
Yeah.
hour sometimes.
Yeah, he's coming
That
from
would be fine.
the Cornish or,
Yeah, Cornish.
yeah, that's a
Lakeview.
ride, yeah.
Yep.
What
So-
else was discussed at the selectmen's meeting regarding the common? Anything else?
It was mostly about the vehicles parking on the common. We're gonna review our policy as far as the wording and stuff on the events and, you know, rethink our procedures, I think, as far as see if there's anything we can do other than a radical
Change.
fencing, I mean,
Or that
curbing,
might be-
whatever.
But,
Curbing would be good.
but there was discussions on our walk about the drainage of too much water
Yes.
Mhm.
along Park Street.
Well, that's where curbing, like
That's
a paved curbing would.
Right,
Help
Exactly.
a lot.
Have that allowed.
Yeah.
and also there was questions on trying to level up the earth too, so it wouldn't pond. And,
Yeah, I don't know,
But, I
Well,
think,
if you
was some
did
concern
curbing,
about-
then you would be able to do something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but leveling, there was some concern about covering
Some
the
drain-
roots
Right,
of the
right.
trees. and-
Yeah, you
Right.
don't wanna cover up the roots
Right.
and
and then, I don't know whether we need to go before, the select board to, talk about,
I know.
to talk about, you know, getting, they thought that it needed to be, what is it, mulched around the trees?
Yes.
Oh, the
Uh,
soil
the
aeration?
grass
Right.
cutout.
Is that what
Right.
you're talking
Aeration. was
No,
a-
but,
was a possibility.
yeah, but I think it was a 6-foot mulching around the trees.
Mm.
And no
Some-
grass was, I was. yeah.
Right, so that the lawnmowers are off the roots.
root
Yeah,
systems.
yeah. I'm not sure. You might wanna talk to Hunter and see if he would wanna bring that to the select board or, that's not part of the stuff
Discussion
that
of
Gwen
the-
was, the work that Gwen is
No.
doing. so
No,
it would be-
That
no,
was
it's part of
extra.
what
That
the
was gonna
town-
be part of the maintenance.
Yeah,
So
But I
we're
think-
gonna be another maintenance program proposal that we're gonna have to.
I think you're right. I think
that's
we
gonna have
should
to bring
consider
back
that.
up. So-
I
Right.
would say even if
A
you
maintenance-
took on a few trees at a time of cutting, because he
Yeah,
said
well,
the
that's what
grass
they
and
had
the
also
trees
said,
fought.
is you don't wanna, you know, especially the new ones, they would do the new ones
Properly,
right off.
yeah.
And then possibly some of the other smaller ones, because you don't wanna scratch away too much of the earth.
Right.
It's just as bad as covering them up.
Right.
So, that's what I mean, I think there's gonna be there'll have to be a maintenance proposal
Yeah.
to go further than
Right.
trimming, replanting, and feeding.
Yeah, I agree. And then removing the bricks around that pin oak,
Yeah.
you know,
Those are
where the
some
bench goes.
questions.
Yeah.
Should we ask Glenn, since he said that the grass fought with the tree roots, that they eat different things or they don't like each other, could we ask him what the fees would be for them to eventually do all the trees, like over a 5-year period of getting?
I think we get through this first.
And then
we-
ask for the
then
second
we-
stage.
Yeah.
Let's get
We'll see.
this program done, and then I'm sure he's gonna come back with a maintenance
Okay.
program,
That's a good
and then we're gonna ask to get a price on a maintenance proposal.
Right.
Okay. That
Okay.
sounds good.
Because
Because that was
that's-
really what I was
Yeah.
getting at in approaching the select board.
And again, it was Chris, the main worker, the head foreman, he said we were about 15 years, almost too late. You know, not that they were gonna die off, but he said, you're about 15 years away from,
Losing.
not doing anything. And I said, that was just about the last time that they were taken care of.
15 years behind.
Yeah.
15
Oh,
years
15 years
behind.
behind,
So-
but we're not like 15 years too
No,
late that
no, they wouldn't die, but
But
it's
there,
been behind the
Okay.
ball. We've been
but
behind the
trees
ball.
are dying, so, you know, we don't want, and
But
we don't want to
said-
invest in new trees and have them
that's
die
what we
either.
all said, that we don't want to make this big investment, it's a big number,
I agree.
and
Glenn really
then
wanted to-
let it go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
you
know,
wanna
that's
have,
not, so,
Yeah.
there's gonna be more proposals as to,
good. Okay, that's all I was concerned about.
So as far as selecting species,
let me get the diagram together,
okay.
unless you want to select them right now, but I don't think
No,
that's possible.
no.
And then let me, and I'm gonna try, I've never really done it, I know there must be things I can, where it'll actually look like the different trees, and then I'll try to do like the sizes, because some are much bigger than others.
Right.
I can
that's good.
try to get it to be, what is that called, like to scale.
Yeah,
that'd be a good homework project for your son.
I know it would be. He just got elected to, oh shoot, I'm gonna forget it, Maura, what was that committee he got? He's on a board, counselor for a conservation
No, horticulture.
oh, horticulture. See,
Nice.
I get confused.
Very good.
Yeah, so he just became a counselor for something, I can find it. But you
Good.
know, you're right, I wonder if he could do it as like an,
Project.
right.
That's cool, yeah.
Right,
there you
I
go.
know, because I'm not necessarily, I don't really know how to do that, but I'll try to figure out how we could get a nice look, and I could get everything from an up view with the different colors, from a bird's eye, and then the different sizes, so you can really then, wait, if we picked a red maple or whatever, or sugar maple, wait, that would be too big for that spot, you'd know immediately. Okay,
All
So
right.
the replacement is actually gonna occur next summer.
Yes.
Or is it
First
spring?
three,
I believe it's in the spring,
Yeah,
this was
spring.
scheduled, the
Yeah.
first.
So we don't need to select our
Like the end of
species for a little
April,
while, yeah,
yeah.
right?
Well,
No, because
Need to order
the
them?
bigger the tree, which has been suggested, you want to get them now. You want to get different nurseries down south,
Okay.
getting them,
So with that said, it sounds like we need to talk to Gwen
we need to
fairly
get,
soon.
yeah.
Soon.
So,
So,
at least get a question
Would you
out to
like
them.
me to ask him for next month or the
Yeah.
following?
Not the
So,
following.
okay, next month,
Sooner than later.
okay.
good, all right.
And then I'll make sure I'll send out a bulletin because Jesse did get confused. He thought the meeting was moved and I said we did go back and forth. But I'll even, like,
Yeah,
not
we
that
can't
he
lose
can
you.
only do what he can do, but even make it a big
well, I will
point
be
that
more in tune to what's going on, and I'll contact you to make sure we have everything
we'll get it out.
organized. Yeah.
And then, one more thing I wanted to add administratively, and I can still do this, I just almost have to make myself a note on my calendar. The Conservation Commission does have a mailbox here, and I know you know this. And during COVID, I started picking up the mail because it had piled up. But normally, the chairman does, right. And Ken, you used to come in periodically, or.
Yeah, I can do it.
If you can, if not, call me, or I can still do it. But, and then anything you need me to have, or you want me to copy all the members on.
I
you
check
can-
it once a week. I can check
and
it.
you don't even, I don't think you even have to do that, because I picked it up a week ago and I looked at it today and there was nothing there. So I'm picking it up like every 8 weeks, because I have to make notes.
Where is the mailbox?
It's
See,
right
that-
upstairs
she
with the
told you
rest
that
of
after
all our
you were elected.
mailboxes.
I know.
In the mailroom.
Oh, you do?
You know where that is on the
No,
third floor?
I'll come in with Ken sometime.
Yes, and it's there, so anyone really could get it. It's just that the chairperson used to get it.
You'll get it.
It looks like some educational stuff in
Yeah.
there, so that would be,
So, anything else coming before the board?
well, right now,
Can I have a motion?
motion to adjourn.
Second that emotion.
Okay.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
And I apologize for the confusion too, because I totally spaced it.
It wasn't it was, we kept going back and forth if we wanted to fully
Yeah.
cancel it or not. It made sense. I don't know if Jesse could have made it anyways.